Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Wimpy Studio News and Reviews. Today I'm going to be covering When Hope Calls, Season 2, Episode 2, my review of the newest book by Ali Novak, My Return to the Walter Boys, a sequel of My Life with the Walter Boys, based off of a Netflix show, my recap of Star Wars Celebration, which was held this past weekend with lots of interesting announcements about different upcoming shows, movies, etc., and then also my thoughts on the comments that RFK Jr. made about autism. So let's just jump right in. When Hope Calls. So this second episode of When Hope Calls, I would say not a whole lot happened in it. The main plot was one of Tess's horses, Sugar, got missing, and Charlotte, one of the orphanage girls, is really upset and wants to find him. Tess is unable to find him. She's been looking all over. So Nora helps Charlotte, and together they find Sugar. I mean, I thought this was all like a really sweet plot line. It worked really well. I like seeing Nora be so integrated into these kids. I mean, way sooner than I was expecting. A part of me is like, she really seems to be fitting into this mold here really fast. I mean, I guess it makes sense because she's related to Lillian, so it's kind of come natural, and she's clearly good with kids. I liked how we got to see her lawyer side a bit more when she helped Sam out, and all that. So, you know, I'm interested. At first, I'm like, are they setting up a triangle between Nora, Sam, and Michael? But then I'm like, nah, they're not going to do that. They're very clearly setting up Sam and Maggie to be in a relationship, and then slowly but surely Michael and Nora. And I don't know about this season, because one thing about this episode, as I was watching it, I'm like, they really didn't, like, this episode didn't have, like, a whole lot that happened in it, and there's only 6 episodes, so I'm really curious. There's 4 episodes left. They really, I guess, got to pack a lot into these next 4, because I just feel like for such a short season, not a lot has happened so far, so I assume these next 4 are going to be really heavy. And we'll see if we get a season 3. I really hope so, because I just don't know if, with what we have right now, there's really enough time to explore everything we need to. Because, again, I like this show. Not as much as When Calls the Heart, but I think this is a good show. I liked how we did get to see Gabriel at the end, but I do wish that we got a kiss between them and more of, like, a nice moment at the end. I mean, it was cool how he came and got to, like, take her on horseback to where she needed to go. I like that. To the train station, but I still would have liked like a kiss or a bit more. I mean, it just felt very like a Hallmarky ending that I would have liked a little bit more between them for like their final moment. I assume we're not going to see them again this season, so I was kind of disappointed that that's the way they ended things with them. I mean, I'm glad they're happy and that they got to say goodbye to each other, but I would have liked a kiss personally. But whatever, it's not that big of a deal. And Maggie's parents are pretty much give her this like ticket that she can go around the world and explore, but you know, Maggie herself is so integrated into the community here, you know, being the doctor or nurse, so she's really found her calling, and she can't really just give that all up to go and find herself, which she's already kind of found herself here. And plus she has this budding romance with Sam. So I thought it was a nice little journey for Maggie, you know, breaking away from her parents' expectations, following her dreams, following her heart. Really good. I like the scene between Lillian and Maggie too. And, you know, this season, it feels very different, but there was the Lillian and Maggie scene for sure definitely felt a lot like season 1, because we've had both of those characters last season. So it was very nice to see Lillian kind of giving advice to Maggie and helping her through her decision. I also thought it was funny how Ronnie kept like coming into Michael's office and just kept bothering him and really like valuing that friendship with him. And then they do this award ceremony basically for him saving Charlotte for on the street. Or I don't know if it was Charlotte, the girl he saved, or if it was just a different girl from the orphanage. But basically the whole town comes together to celebrate that. But then he gives it to Charlotte as a prize or reward for finding Sugar. I thought that was really sweet. He's such a sweet guy, but so far, but he's kind of like Nathan. Nathan wasn't very outgoing to, you know, Hope Valley at the start of it. I mean, now he is more because he's been there longer, but I feel like Gabriel to me seemed a bit more outgoing. I mean, Jack was more outgoing on When Calls the Heart. So to me, I think he reminds me a lot of Nathan, Michael does. And, that kind of like a bit, what's the right word? Just like in the shadows a bit, just a bit quiet, introvert. So I'm curious how his character is going to develop, and I assume we'll see him do some Mountie work as always. It's kind of a given, and then we'll see his relationship with Nora develop, I assume. But yes, Lillian goes back. She has her goodbye with Gabriel. That was all really sweet. It was definitely a good episode. I just think they kind of got to start amping up some drama because it definitely felt a bit boring, but to me it was a feel good episode, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens next. So next up is my review of My Return to the Walter Boys. So I reviewed My Life with the Walter Boys on this channel a couple of times, and I told you I wasn't a huge fan of the show. But when I read the book, I was a big fan of the book. I thought the book was way better than the show in the sense that I felt like I think Jackie's character was written better overall, and we could better understand her actions. And I feel like they wrote her more likable in the book. And I think you can cut her some slack in the show. She lost her whole family, so she's kind of playing both guys and whatnot. I mean, I do think they made the show way more love triangle focused than the book. The book was basically Alex was just using Jackie to get back at Mary, or I guess Paige in the show. They changed the name for some reason. I don't know why. But it wasn't really a full-on love triangle because, Jackie was being used. And I think in the show, Alex has genuine feelings for Jackie, and I think that makes his character a bit more likable, but I know a lot of people still don't like him. So I don't know. That book ends with her and Cole kissing goodbye, and then she goes off. And then the second book focuses on her and Cole's will they, won't they. Now, I'm not going to lie, I thought the will they, won't they lasted a little bit too long. They had a lot of cute moments throughout that I really enjoyed, but I feel like they kind of rushed it at the very end to give them a happy ending. And in a way, kind of like the first book. I just feel like we didn't, not a lot changed from the first book's ending to the second book's ending. It felt very much the same. Like they kiss. I mean, I guess the second one they end up in a better place because they're more finalized and now actually together. What I did like about, and I guess in both books too, they really expand on Jackie's relationship with the other Walter siblings. In season 1, they had her, obviously Cole and Alex, and then she had a friendship with Nathan because they went running together. She had a friendship with Danny with theater, but nothing too major. And then she wasn't really close to Isaac and Lee at all. And she had a scene with Parker at the end with the wedding that was the same as in the book. But I feel like in these two, in the two books, they really dive deeper into her relationship with the Walter siblings, especially in book 1. Lee doesn't like her, and that's like a conflict. And then you have book 2 she interacts a lot with Isaac. It helps Isaac through a lot of his crap that he's going with his dad and his rebellious nature and all of that. We see her interact with Nathan a lot and helping him through, and now that he's had 2 more seizures since what happened in the first book. I definitely think I like the second book more in that regard. And in fact, I still think that the relationship with her and Cole was a bit rushed and messy writing during the second book, but I still like the second book a bit more because I enjoy those interactions we had with the characters more, and I like how we got to see Jackie continuing to work through her grief and all of that. So I think the first book's a classic, but I think the second book might just be a little bit better, but I don't know. I read something somewhere that this book doesn't have anything to do with season 2, which I guess makes sense because season 2 is still going to have love triangle focus. I mean, I think she's going to end up with Cole and Alex will end up with Kylie, but by whether at the end of season 2 or by the end of the show. But I do think Alex is still going to be a major factor into, considering they never officially broke up. She just left, where in the book they broke up and she left and kissed Cole at the end of the first book. So I don't know. I think the second book worked really well though, and I mean, if not better than the first, it's just as good as the first. I thoroughly enjoyed reading it, and again, I think what sold it to me was Jackie's relationship with the Walter siblings, and we didn't see Danny much in book 2, So I mean, I'm definitely glad that doesn't mean we won't see him much in season 2 because I like his character a lot. But yeah, it was a good book. I wonder, are we going to continue to get books from her? I don't think so. I think this was like it was good because it kind of holds us over until season 2, especially if you are a Jackie and Cole fan, which I am. Now, if you are a Jackie and Alex fan, then you're not going to like this book because Alex basically spends the whole book making out with his new girlfriend Kim, who I assume is supposed to be Kylie in the show. They changed some of the characters' names, like they changed Paige's character, they changed Grace's character, they changed Kylie's character. Skylar is definitely has way less of a role in the book than in the show. So they definitely have made a lot of changes, which is good because it's less predictable. But regardless, though, it was a good book. Let me know if you've read it down below what you think of the book. I don't think I spoiled a whole lot. I there's definitely a few surprises in the book that I was not expecting, but there was a lot of cute Jackie and Cole moments. Again, I wish they kind of wrote their relationship a bit better and more like this. I wish like the flow was better, but regardless, though, it was still a good book. So I'm very much looking forward to season 2, which is supposed to drop sometime this year. I'm going to assume it's going to drop like in December again, but we could be wrong. We could be getting it like this summer. Like, I don't think it'll air during the same time as The Summer I Turned Pretty, but we could see it in June. I think June is the earliest, and I think December is more likely. So this past weekend was also Star Wars Celebration. So basically, it's like every 2 years now, not necessarily every year, because I just saw that they're not doing it again until 2027 in LA. But this one took place in Japan, and there's some good announcements. Star Wars, I like Star Wars a lot more than Marvel and DC. So I don't have I think the storytelling is better overall. I mean, sure, there's still its weak points, like the last few movies in the original trilogy were not great by any means. Mandalorian Season 3 was not great. Book of Boba Fett was not great. Andor Season 1 was really good. Mandalorian Seasons 1 and 2 were really good. Ahsoka was really good in Season 1. Acolyte was okay. It's kind of been a mixed bag these past few years, but there have been some really good Star Wars content, and I do think Andor Season 2 is going to be really good. I really liked Andor Season 1. I like all those characters in their own ways. It's such a good cast. Mon Mothma is my favorite character, mostly because I like her, how she has that political role, and because I'm doing political science. I find that fascinating how being a politician connects into Star Wars. And I like the theme of politics that is woven throughout Andor Season 1 that I assume is going to continue into Season 2. So I'm really looking forward to Andor Season 2. And that comes out on Tuesday night. So what I'm going to do is in my next episode, I'll be recapping the first 3 episodes. And I'll do that each week until it's over. It's gonna fly by, but I'm personally think it's going to be good because, we'll get 3 episodes at a time. So we'll get probably like an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of content each week, like a movie basically. But then we don't get the whole season, obviously, so then we get some time to think, develop theories, process things and all of that, instead of having to wait instead of having it drag out 12 weeks, because that would be a long time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to Season 2. So they also announced a few other things. There's this new movie called Star Wars Starfighter, and Ryan Gosling's been cast in it. This is a new era set 5 years after Rise of Skywalker, new storyline, all of that. So I'm curious what that's going to entail. I am looking forward to some new Star Wars movies. They said they're doing episodes 10, 11, and 12, and then a few other movies. So I'm kind of surprised we haven't seen a Star Wars movie since Rise of Skywalker. And now we're getting all these movies. Like, it's been over 5 years since we've gotten a movie, and now we're finally getting back into the movie phase. Because, there's been some good shows or seasons of shows, but I'm looking forward to going back and seeing Star Wars on the big screen, because we have Mandalorian and Grogu that comes out May 22nd, 2026. And then we have this Ryan Gosling movie, which comes out in May 2027. So we'll have 2 Star Wars movies back to back in the next 2 years. This year we have Andor Season 2, and then Star Wars Visions Season 3, which I'm not going to watch, but that's like an animated show that comes out in October. Next year we'll have the Mando movie. We have a new animated series about Darth Maul, which I think that's going to be great because I wanted a Darth Maul series throughout all of this. So really looking forward to seeing that because I feel like that's a character with a lot of wasted potential that they could have given more of a role in the movies. So I'm looking forward to that Darth Maul series, and then we'll get Ahsoka season 2. We know they're going to start filming this coming week. So my guess is we'll get that probably later 2026, like summer, fall of 2026, I would say, after the Mando movie. We might see, like, I don't really know timeline-wise how it'll all work because the Mando movie comes out in May, and I don't know if the Darth Maul series will come out before. It could come out in, like, February or March, and then the Mando movie, and then summer/fall will be Ahsoka Season 2. I don't know, though. It's kind of too early to speculate timeline-wise at all, but this year is a bit light on the Star Wars stuff overall. I mean, I think Andor Season 2 is the big thing for Star Wars this year. That's really the only main thing for Star Wars. So I think next year is going to be really heavy on Star Wars, which we haven't really seen a heavy Star Wars year since, like, maybe I want to say 2023 when we got Mando and Ahsoka in the same year. So I'm looking forward to all of that. We also know that Hayden Christensen, who plays Anakin, will be back in Ahsoka Season 2, which no surprise there. He's so integral to Ahsoka's character that she's going to need his help at times. And that connection between the two is part of why people like Ahsoka so much, is her connection to Anakin. So, and vice versa, too. I think a lot of people like Anakin for how he was a mentor to Ahsoka. And even though he made his fair share of mistakes, Anakin did, he was so good to Ahsoka, like, overall. I mean, they had their moments, but he was such a good mentor to her overall. So, I'm looking forward to seeing him back in Ahsoka Season 2. And then they recasted Balin with, what's his name? Rory McCann, right? I'm pretty sure that's his name. And so I'm glad that they're not killing Balin off, because I read something like a while back that maybe they'll kill him off into story and whatever, but I'm like, they can't kill his character. He has so much story left to tell, his character does. So I'm really looking forward to seeing his character, seeing Shen, seeing all of our main group, seeing Thrawn. I mean, I'm definitely... Andor Season 2 is what I'm most looking forward to, but then Ahsoka Season 2 comes pretty close after that. I think both are going to be really good seasons. Andor Season 2 is going to be the final season, which is a bummer it's ending so soon, but, you know, it's 24 episodes, which is still, I mean, the longest Star Wars show besides Mandalorian, which was 30. The longest Star Wars shows in this new era, so I think that's something to be appreciative of for sure. So... what else? Okay. So, moving on, I think that's kind of all we have with the Star Wars celebration, so it's time to move on into something a bit more heavier of a topic. So, RFK Jr. is Trump's Secretary of Health and Human Services for this term. So what he said, this is about kids with autism. They'll never pay taxes, they'll never hold a job, they'll never play baseball, they'll never write a poem, they'll never go out on a date, many of them will never use a toilet unassisted. So it's basically him slamming autistic kids. Now, I'm autistic. I would say I'm lower on the spectrum. I don't have like a super high diagnosis of it. Like, I'm still operate normally and everything, which he's saying that these kids cannot. Now, I'm not going to lie and say autistic kids don't operate normally all the time, because there's instances where they don't, and they do need extra help. Like he mentioned a few things, like they are going to need extra help with that. They can't operate 100% on their own. However, that doesn't mean they don't have any less value than the average person. And I think one of the things we're seeing with the Trump administration is how much him and his people are dehumanizing minorities and making them seem less than to the rich, white, wealthy. And that bothers me a lot. And, you know, I think these autistic comments are really hitting close to home for parents and for, I mean, anyone with autism, but I mean, especially kids with autism and their parents. It's really hitting them hard, and it's upsetting them. And granted, I mean, they have a right to be upset. This is very hurtful to hear, a leader, someone in someone working with the president or for the president, making these comments about people with, and he says autism can be prevented, but that is not true. I mean, you can take measures to make you handle and work with autism better, but you can't prevent autism. It's something you have. Just like you can't prevent being trans. It's something you're born with, or being gay. I mean, in a lot of cases, it's something you're born with. So, I mean, the bottom line here is that these kids, they deserve a leader who's going to treat them like any other kid, and put them first, and value them, and respect them, and love them. And they're not going to get that with this administration. It's as simple as that. So I was definitely hurt by these comments, and very disappointed, and a lot of people were too. A lot of people spoke out against this online and all of that. So very disappointed in him for saying these things, and yeah. So not a whole lot else to going on in the world of politics. Big thing, that was the main thing that I was really shocked when I read. I was like, wow, one of the nastiest things I've heard anyone say so far in this administration. Like, even my cousin, who kind of stays out of politics for the most part, she was livid. Oh my gosh, that is freaking crazy. And it is. It's very upsetting. It's crazy, disrespectful, all of the above. So very disappointed in that. So coming up though next week on the podcast, we'll be covering When Hope Calls, episode 3 of season 2. Hopefully we'll get more answers and introduction to more storylines there. I will be covering WrestleMania, in its full, because I've watched the first night, but tonight's the second night, so I'm going to recap the matches next week on my podcast, and then I'll recap Andor season 2 episodes 1 through 3, and then if I'm able to watch any more Righteous Gemstones, I'll cover it, but this past week we weren't able to get to it because we were so busy, but that might be coming next week, and then I'm sure there'll be something political related to cover, so yeah, that's all next week. Comment down below your thoughts on what I covered, When Hope Calls, my return to the Walter Boys, everything Star Wars, and if you want to comment on the touchy subject of the autism comments from RFK Jr., you certainly can, and we could discuss it. So, thanks everyone for listening. I'll see you guys next week. Happy Easter, and bye everyone.